Hi, Prema Gurreri, your Sacred Wealth Code. Today I want to bring to you the energy of the leader. So the leader is ruled by the sun, and the leader is confident, brilliant, purposeful. You're courageous, you're committed, you're authentic, positive, inspiring, passionate, empowered. You are a visionary as a leader as well. And you've got, you're of high integrity and you're incredibly trustworthy. So the mantra for the leader is I lead from the heart. And you can feel free to create your own mantra, your own soul desire, your own purpose. But the true energy is that leadership from the heart, not just from the head, what you think is supposed to happen, but from the heart. And when you lead from the heart, people can really feel that in you. It magnetizes them to you and your mission. The soul desire is to live up to your highest potential and guide others to theirs for the greater good of all. So even though you're working on your mission, you're helping other people be on mission too and open up into their higher potential and, for the ultimate greater good for all of us. So if we're all leading ourselves and leading our sphere around us, in a very integrous way, so we're empowering, we're inspiring, care of those people around them, then our mission can be incredibly successful. We're all leaders in our own way, but if your leader is part of your wealth code, one of your wealth code archetypes, and especially if you bring the quality of your leader, whether it's the loyal leader or the social leader or the intuitive leader or the spiritual leader, maybe it's the practical leader, whichever yours is qualified as, you want to bring that energy in because that's part of your unique quality around the leader. And if you have another archetype that's associated with the leader, like my messenger and my leader are associated together. They're found together in my chart and they work together. They have their separate qualities. They're really a team. So the purpose is very much to live in the present, free from the past, and to create an ideal future. And the inspired action plan is I practice presence to be divinely aligned with my highest value gifts and live into my greater potential while courageously leading others to theirs. So the leader is so much about empowerment. You have that ability to inspire others. You've got that self-confidence and you're on purpose. You've got clarity. Now, that doesn't mean you're not vulnerable and sometimes you're confused and sometimes you're not confident and sometimes you don't feel inspiring, but you're honest about that. You're honest about who you are and where you're at. And because of that, people can actually trust you. You don't stay in that place forever of not knowing, but you're honest about when you're there, that vulnerability piece, and that you can lead still. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going to stay present and I'm going to find out. I'm going to really open up to divine guidance here. So as a leader, guide by example. You are a teacher by nature. And, there's a lot said around authenticity, and we use that word pretty flippantly. And it is part of who you are. Authenticity is when you're actually standing in for what you believe in and you are living in alignment and the actions you take are all about what you really believe in. That comes through the full energy of you in your own unique way, not trying to do it like anyone else. And the more authentically you lead in your own way, unique to you, in your own unique genius, as a leader, the more the people who are really meant to follow you and learn about a greater mission, learn about leadership from you, will gravitate towards you. So your authenticity is key. It's unique to you. With your ability to be a great leader, you have a vision. And so you are visionary by nature. You're holding a greater vision for humanity in general, for the project at hand, for the movement that you're creating, that is, your mission here. You've got a vision. Maybe you don't have it all planned out, but you have a vision of what it is that you're trying to accomplish. I believe that we all have divine gifts. We all have a unique genius. And if we all really step into our brilliance and make the space for others to do that as well, that this world will be a much, much better place. That we haven't even begin to tap our own genius. And that when we do, we just inherently will know the right things to do and we'll complement each other beautifully and brilliantly. That's part of what I lead with, and that's part of what I believe in. You really need to know what your vision is, the greater vision, and then maybe the smaller aspect of it, what's the part of the project you're doing now, and be able to lead that. So yes, that means you can make decisions, that you are decisive, that you can hold. Think of it as like a leader being like a parent, and you're holding this container, and that you care deeply about your mission, but you care deeply about the people, because your mission can't happen without other people. It can't, not to a greater scale. And that you are invested in taking care of those around you so that and creating ways for them to step into their higher potential as well. That's what a really good leader does. That you have an incredible ability to listen, to really deeply listen. That's one of the qualities of the leader, so that you can take the information in of those around you, whether that's your mentors, whether that is, and also your team, so that then once you can take all the information in, you can assess where things really are, ask the questions you need to ask, and then make the decisions and choices and choose the direction or the path. Without the input, not really listening to the divine, listening to those around you, listening to those who have gone before you, you may not stay on the mark. And when it comes to other people, and you're a leader, you're leading other people, it's really important, like highly important, for you to be on the mark as much as possible and absolutely honest and vulnerable when you're not. And that is part of the human condition, that we're not right all the time when we don't get it right. Leaders you can trust just own up to that and just course correct. And even by doing that, it's something that people learn from being around you. Now, again, you're leading in your own unique way. So that might be, that might be children, that might be a company, that might be your family, leader within your own family, the job, within, maybe you work for a corporate structure, but within that, you have leadership over what you're taking responsibility for. A leader takes responsibility and knows that the beauty of taking responsibility is whatever you take responsibility for, you are actually at choice then. Because if you say, yep, whether that's something that was a great choice or really a hot choice at all, but you say, yep, I take responsibility for that, you can make a new choice. You created it. You're saying, I created this. I can create something else. If you don't take responsibility, you can't course correct very easily. You can't create something else. So taking responsibility, a leader knows that it's crucial to be able to take responsibility. Now, you work hard, and a lot of times the leader works the hardest of all. And it's really important to know your boundaries, your limits, and part of you being able to still, work hard, but work smart, is being able to cultivate the leaders around you. That's helping people to take leadership of themselves, their own domain, the people that they're, in charge of. So that really helps you to be able to lead more effectively. So that means that you have to take yourself out of the control position. And, it's a game of letting go. And sometimes things aren't going to get done the way you want them to, or sometimes something is going to fail, so to speak. And I don't really believe in failure. There's all learning opportunities, growth opportunities, but there's no way you can do it all. In order for those around you to learn to lead them, their domain too, you've got to be willing to let go of control enough and put your energy towards inspiring them and empowering them to learn their own leadership. And that's what will allow you also to be able to lead a large scale movement. You've got to be able to just be okay with not everything maybe going as planned, as long as it's still moving towards where you want to go. So you do have this ability to empower, and in that, you've got to maintain your own personal empowerment. So you've got to be on your own leading edge of learning, feeding your mind what you need, really staying deeply tuned in so you can trust your gut. Great leaders trust themselves. They trust their gut. And they're okay when they're off the mark because they know they can get back on the mark again. This being able to know, and I'm so passionate about you learning to trust yourself, and just, how you feel in your body when something's right on. You can't always explain it with your mind. And in fact, the part of your mind that is rational and the part of your mind that actually makes decisions and is tapped into that gut feeling is two different parts of your mind. So you've got to be able to let go of sometimes the evidence at hand and really be able to trust how it feels when something's right on. And the more you are confident in that, even if you can't explain it, the more others will trust you as well. Sometimes you have to make also decisions that aren't really popular, but you've got to do the right thing. And a good leader does the right thing. Your Sacred Wealth Code is the place where purpose and prosperity meet in your soul blueprint. It's really your sweet spot for wealth. And your Sacred Wealth Code reading isn't just about the financial side of life. Your reading will introduce you to your unique gifts. I like to call them your highest value gifts that will empower you in wealth, in love, in health, relationships, business, all the important areas of life, and really strengthen your connection to your soul. You'll be introduced to your personal guides, your archetypes. They're unique to you and your soul blueprint. And these archetypes represent the most powerful aspects of yourself. We all have all the archetypes within us, but your Sacred Wealth Code has 3 to 5 very unique ones based on your soul blueprint. So you can grab your reading. There is a link down below in the description. You can also get the free Sacred Wealth Code quiz, where you'll get one of your Sacred Wealth Code archetypes by taking the quiz. And my book, Your Sacred Wealth Code, Unlock Your Soul Blueprint for Prosperity and Purpose, is available on Amazon and on my website. Link is down below. And so is the Oracle cards and the journal. So that can even be like, take parenting. I've raised 4 children, including my 2 stepchildren. And, as a parent, you're a leader. And my motto was always fair, firm, and friendly, and very loving. But there were times my decisions weren't really super popular. But it was the right thing to do. And I wanted to teach my kids to do the right thing. And my kids are both, they're responsible, good thinkers, really good human beings. But as a leader, you're sometimes doing the right thing isn't always popular, or it's not convenient necessarily. Sometimes, your company makes a big mistake and you've got to go and refill orders or redo things, or it's going to cost money, but it's better to do the right thing. But you will always gain more respect from yourself and from others by doing the right thing. So let's talk about some of the shadow aspects of being a leader. And remember, the shadow is when we're in the ego. Okay, when we've edged God out, the divine source, the universe, whatever you want to call it, and when we're more in the ego mind. And so arrogance, because you're the one sometimes, okay, as a leader, it can go to your head, and you've got to be careful of being narcissistic. Again, a leader is ruled by the sun, and the sun is all the planets revolve around the sun. But you've got to make sure that you aren't erring on the side that the whole world revolves around you. And that's what will happen. You want to revolve around and take care of your world. But when you think the world is revolving completely around you, you're going to be in this ego place. The problem with that is you'll also be addicted to power, and you will start to become that more dictator type of a leader. You'll forget the human quotient in those who you are leading. Numbers and statistics and winning will all be more important. And all of that will take you to only as far as it will. It'll leave you very alone. You'll eventually crumble and fall. Your empire will. Your movement will. Also, as we talked to a little bit already about being over controlling is another aspect you've really got to watch. So, and all of this comes from this, playing with power. So you're really, as a leader, learning to manage a high level of power. And we're all learning to manage power throughout our lifetime, and especially as we step into our higher potential. So what the signs that you'll see for yourself if you're in the shadow, and you can read through your archetype to, check in with that. And that's why I've always include the shadow questions to tap in with, just so that you're aware of, because sometimes you can on-ramp to your shadow, just controlling, like you want to control that thing, or you could see, whoa, like this fantasy of like how empowering, that you are. So you got to watch those things. So I call it being squeaky clean with yourself. So it's good to tap in with your shadow regularly just to see where you are. And if you are isolating at all, or you're seeing yourself above others, if you have put more importance on things over people, these are all signs that you're in the shadow side. And if you have forgotten your mantra, which is leading from the heart, if you're leading from your pocketbook, if you're leading from your head, you're going to be off target and it's going to hurt. It's eventually, if it keeps going, it's going to snowball and hurt. Other people won't trust you. So a good question to always ask yourself too is, do I trust myself right now? Am I trusting myself, or what am I trusting? So that's you want to stay squeaky clean. So use the shadow questions and be compassionate. Like, we have this shadow side. So it's about shining the light in the shadow, just bringing what's in the shadow into the light. Then fear dissolves and we go into the shadow because of fear. Fear is love moving in the wrong direction. Loving yourself, being compassionate, just being vulnerable again. Oh, wow, I'm in my shadow. What can I learn from this? It's wrong. It's part of human nature. We have a contrasting reality here on planet Earth that we're living in. The breath goes in and out, the heart beats. We move from the shadow to the light. You just want to keep the shadow in check. So you want to check in regularly. And when you notice some part of you is in the shadow, you just want to kind of put your arm around that part and escort it back into the light again. Pull it back into your heart again. Get honest with yourself. What are you afraid of? What are you really afraid of that's causing you to act more from your shadow? If you find yourself in the shadow spot, you've got to take that break. You've got to get back to your roots. Whatever your spiritual practice is, get away from things, travel, get into your creativity, take a retreat. This will activate your right brain. This will activate your heart, and you'll return home. Get back to your purpose and the mission and why you're doing what you're doing. That's how to get back home again. And again, you can read more about your archetype where it goes into that a little bit more depth. So you have, high value gifts. Some of your high value gifts are your presence, your ability to solve problems. Like, a lot of being a leader is solving problems all the time. You know where you're going to go. And between here and there's a lot that's happening, and you're constantly readjusting and solving problems while you hold on to that bigger vision, because that's another part of your high value gifts. You've got to, if you're able to be present enough so that you can just be very present with what's coming at you to problem solve, you're holding this bigger vision all at the same time. Again, authenticity, we talked about authenticity, that you're decisive. You actually can make choices and you make them. And you know that if you make a wrong choice, it's okay. You just own it and you make another choice. I had a minister at a Science of Mind church years and years ago that I used to take my children to when they were younger. And she did this great example when she said, just with choices, imagine that you're on, if you're as old as I am, back in the days of disco floor where the tiles used to light up when you stepped on one. So you step on one, it lights up and it's not a great choice. Okay, well, you can, there's 4 other tiles, right? Take another step. You can take step to the right, to the left, back, forward. You can make another choice. Decisive, gives you the freedom. When you know you can make another choice, you have the freedom to go ahead and make choices. You listen. We talked about that. You're a good listener. That's where, you listen more than you talk. You clearly communicate. And if your communication is not great, then that is a skill you can learn. It's absolutely, and it's worth learning, and it's worth learning to listen. So if those aren't high value gifts that you already own, which is fine, you can gain those. Those are skills. You inspire others into action by being who you are, by attracting people to your mission, by being really clear about what you believe in and why you are creating what you're creating, that you are consistent and trustworthy. We talked a lot about trust. Lead by example, that you create a supportive environment for success. So environments are incredibly important when we're talking about anything flourishing. So I'm a gardener and I live in the Northwest. Last year I was so excited about my new garden. Michael made me these beautiful terrace beds and I have a beautiful view of the water from my garden. And I planted a lot of things from seed in the house under a big window. I planted a little too early this last year for the weather conditions we have. We never know how it's going to go. In the Northwest, my motto is plant. If it doesn't grow, plant again. I always have a great garden. I'm never afraid to redo it. Well, but the right environment, I planted some things, I put them out, and then the weather turned cold. They couldn't grow. They couldn't grow in that environment. So I planted again. Had I not planted again, I would have thought I failed. I wouldn't have had the beautiful garden I had. I had to stay present to the conditions, be willing to problem solve, which was plant again, as far as I was concerned. But when you create a really good environment and it's warm and sunny, or whatever those people that you're leading, what they need in order to do their job, you've got to create that great environment so that then the environment supports your movement going forward. The environment supports the people doing what, being in their high value gifts. Environment is so, so important. You magnetize alignment with your mission. Again, by you being really into the purpose of why you're even doing what you're doing, the people will come for that. That you have the ability to see other people's strengths. We talked about that as well. That you can, when you can nurture someone else's genius, not only does that feel so good for them and for you, but it's like one of the greatest gifts that you can have, because our environments aren't usually safe for people to really step into their genius. So it's very, very helpful when you can create that environment and you see other people's strengths, sometimes just by, in fact, if you think about, and I'm hoping you all have had this experience before, if some teacher, someone said to you through your childhood or through a job, they saw some gift you have and they told you, and it stuck with you, and you went ahead and used that more because someone told you that gift. Seeing other strengths is so, 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 it's so compassionate, it's so loving, and it's so powerful. Your inspired action plan to that, practice presence to be divinely guided with your high value gifts and live into your greater potential while courageously leading others to theirs. Your leadership ability, use that, really infuse that aspect into your business, into your career, into what you're creating, whatever it is that's purpose and prosperity for you. Give yourself full permission to lead and tune in with what your high value gifts are and make your own list of that so that you know uniquely what you have to offer. What's your unique brilliance around leading? You're an amazing leader. Step into it. The world needs you and your leadership capacity. Have a beautiful day.